It's very critical, and it's important that Nigeria supports elections, supports constitutional government in Chad.
President Bola Tinubu in Jummai, Chad for investiture of Africa's youngest democratically elected leader.
We have already started laying the solid and enduring foundation over the last 12 months.
The quickest way to our economic prosperity is the oil and gas sector.
We are sanitizing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector.
6 more days until May 29, ministers review performances of MDAs in key national sectors.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land.
Lyrics of 1960 Nigerian national anthem sways hearts and minds of federal lawmakers as National Assembly seeks reversion to the old anthem. Good evening and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I am Jummai Yusuf. Reading with me tonight from Lagos is Hingino John Adams. We also have two of our correspondents standing by tonight for our regular Tick in the Boxes. Remember, you can watch this news broadcast live on our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Kano State Governor Yusuf has reinstated the dethroned 14th Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, as the new Emir of Kano. The governor made announcements shortly after he assented to the new law abolishing the 5 emirate councils created by the former governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Our Salisu has the details.
The Kano State House of Assembly had during its first day plenary passed a law which dissolved the 4 emirates created by the former governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Governor Yusuf announced the reinstatement of the 14th Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, at the Kano Government House minutes after signing the new law that dissolved the 5 emirates of Gaya, Bichi, Rano, Kano and Karaye, created by his predecessor.
The Kano State Emirate Council Referral Law 2024, with full support of the kingmakers, I have approved the reappointment of Madam Sunusi Lami popularly known as Muhammadu Sunusi II, as the new Emir of Kano.
The governor also directed the dissolved emirs to submit government properties in their possession to the office of deputy governor, who also serve as the commissioner ministry for local government in the next 48 hours. Muhammad Sanusi II is expected to arrive Kano this Friday from Rivers State, where he is attending a summit. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And Awal Salisu is standing by in Kano for more on the situation. Awal Salisu, can you give us the latest in Kano? What is the mood like?
The situation here in Kano, everywhere is calm. Reports reaching us that from across the Kano metropolis, there is no record of protest or whatsoever. Everywhere is calm. People are going about their normal businesses. Behind me here is Murtala Muhammad Way, one of the busiest way in Kano, and everywhere is calm. There is no any report of protest. Listen. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, what kind of preparation is being put in place to receive the new emir as of now?
The people of Kano, the people here in Kano are overwhelmed, are anxiously waiting for the arrival of the new emir, Muhammad Sanusi II, which the people close to the government are saying that he is coming to Kano tomorrow, Friday, where he is presently at the Cross Rivers Rivers State is attending a summit in Rivers State, but he is coming to Kano tomorrow, and his reinstatement by the Kano State Governor is accepted and assented by the
Okay, our Salisu, I believe we'll be coming to you for more updates on, the swearing in of the new Emir, Mohammed Sanusi II. Thank you so much. And on Mohammed Idris Itno has been sworn in as the new democratically elected president of Chad Republic, promising that the return to constitutional rule will open the way to a better future for the country. President Bola Tinubu was among several African leaders who attended the inauguration of the 7th Chadian president. State House correspondent Musbah Udan Wahab reports.
After being the head of the Transitional Council for more than 3 years, Mohammed Idris Deby Itno is now transiting into a proper democratic leader of Chad. His father, former President Idris Deby Itno, paid the supreme price in action while defending his country against non-state actors in 2021. The young Deby Itno, as head of the transitional government, contested and was declared winner of the May 6 election. And on this occasion, President Bola Tinubu was one of the special guests as Deby took over the affairs of the 5th largest African country before members of the Constitutional Council. Apparently, the chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments values the partnership of one of Nigeria's neighbors in times of insecurity in the Lake Chad Basin. The new Chadian president was also conscious of this as he assured that his country will remain vigilant and united with other countries to confront terrorism around the region. Itno said his priorities will include issues related to socio-economic development, with 70% of public spending to be devoted to improving access to education, water, health, energy, and food security. He also promised to inject a real dose of modernization into agricultural and mining sectors while equally pursuing infrastructural developments. With these new spirits, Mohammed Idris Deby Itno, now the youngest president on the continent at 39, will lead the country with a population of about 17 million people for the next 5 years. From N'Djamena, Musbah Udan Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria clearly regards the Republic of Chad as a strategic partner with seeming vested interest in the country's peace and stability. Key players, including Nigeria's Special Envoy to Chad and the Lake Chad Basin Commission, Babagana Kingibe, says the presence of President Bola Tinubu at the inauguration of the new Chadian leader underscores the importance of the neighboring country to Nigeria, particularly in the Lake Chad Basin.
We have been involved with the process from the very beginning, and is a relief that the transition to democracy has been accomplished with the election of President Mohammed Deby, and now the task of rebuilding a new Chad under the new constitution in the 5th Republic begins.
It's very important because Chad sits in between ECOWAS and the ECAS, Economic Community of Central African States. So it's a link between West and Central Africa, even though it belongs to Central Africa. You also have to bear in mind that Chad is a member of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. We also have SENSAD, a community of Sahelian states that extends all the way, of course, to Libya. So it's very critical, and it's important that Nigeria supports elections, supports constitutional government in Chad.
Chad is a very important player in the Lake Chad Basin Commission. It has been playing a very important role in the war against Boko Haram. Right now, their troops are there, engaged with the other troops in the Operation Lake Sanity 2, which is ongoing right now in the Lake Chad area. So it is in our interest, not only in Nigeria, but in the entire sub-region, to see stability, peace, and development return to Chad.
In the meantime, the President has directed a comprehensive review of the recently announced governing boards of tertiary institutions in the country before the inauguration and retreat being planned for the nominees. The Federal Ministry of Education recently released names of nominees for chairmen, pro-chancellors and members of the boards and councils of universities, polytechnics and colleges of education. It also announced that the inauguration and retreat for the nominees will take place on May 31st. However, public reactions showed that the nominations did not reflect the federal character of the country, as some states got just one nomination as against others getting more. In directing a complete review of the list of members, President Tinubu acknowledges the feedback across the country and says he is committed to ensuring strict compliance with the federal character principle as entrenched in the Constitution. Now, the federal government has restated commitment of rejigging the nation's tax system without overburdening Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he received a delegation from the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Soliciting institutes' insight on attracting foreign direct investment through competitive company tax rates, Vice President Kashim Shettima said the focus of the Tinubu administration is not to increase tax burden on Nigerians, but to improve the efficiency of tax collection. He stressed the importance of collaborating with the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria to adopt global best practices in tax administration. President of the institute commended the federal government's effort to address the needs of Nigerians, citing the recent suspension of the cybersecurity levy as a prime example. He pledged to provide technical and professional advice to the government at all levels, contributing to the development of an efficient tax system that fosters ease of doing business, accountability, and prudent utilization of taxpayers' resources.
We are looking at how the Vice President can use his good offices to relate with various state governors, and now the issue of non-state actors can be curbed, because this is not allowing Nigeria to collect what it ought to collect. So once we remove the activities of the non-state actors, Nigeria will be doing well in terms of revenue collection. And we are also very mindful of the need for either government at the federal level or at the state level to use whatever is collected in terms of tax judiciously for the purpose of the masses of this country.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on leaders in Nigeria's capital market to restructure the system with a view to deploying strategies that will attract more youth to leverage opportunities in the sector. He made the call when he received the management of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, led by the President and Chairman of the Council, Mr. Oluropo Dada. Speaking on the contribution of the Institute to the nation's economy, Vice President Kashim Shettima observed that while the Institute's position in the economy is critical, it has been grossly underutilized over the years. President of the Institute, Dada Oluropo, commended the federal government for its bold and courageous policies, including the petrol subsidy removal, banking sector recapitalization, and reforms in the foreign exchange market. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
With the safety of public commuters in mind, a new digital app has been unveiled to help stem kidnapping in major cities like Abuja and stop criminals, especially those engaged in the nefarious car crime operation popularly known as One Chance. The security app called Show Driver was launched by the Show Group to enable passengers scan the number plates of vehicles in order to access the particulars of vehicles before boarding. Oyeyemi Ajayi tells us more.
For some people, to board a taxi to convey them safely from one place to another requires prayer due to the realities of kidnapping by those called one-chance operators. Though there have been efforts to nip these in the bud, the hydra-headed monster still seems to be having its way. This informs the essence of this transport security application developed by the Short Taxi Group to give confidence to passengers or would-be passengers. They are at the Area 1 Park of the Federal Capital Territory to create awareness and sensitize drivers about the new app.
What we are trying to do is to eradicate one chance in Abuja. So what this app is about is giving drivers a digital ID, and when passengers get into the cab, they have a QR code that they scan to check if that driver is registered or not. So if the driver is not registered, you going into that taxi is at your own peril. Anything can happen to you. If the driver is registered, you know if anything happens, that driver can be traced.
It will be like, okay, more of scan, after you scan, I pay. So if a driver now will tell you to pay without not scanning, you should know that the car is not safe. So yeah, so there are so many methods we're still trying to devise to getting it. But the first method is pasting it on the side of their cars. And the second method is using it as an ID card too, so that you scan, and that is it.
The app is said to also be an avenue for the government to have a database of all public transport drivers in the country, especially interstate commuters, as the IT firm is working in conjunction with SMEDAN and the National Union of Road Transport Workers.
But with this car, with this latest development, it's not only sustain us in that very way, it will sustain us to go in the long way where we can checkmate the right people and the wrong people.
The first phase of the program is being launched in Abuja with plans to inculcate Lagos and other states. Aside this, the Shaw Group is partnering with China automobile manufacturers in order to import electric vehicles into the country to ease cost of vehicle maintenance by drivers already in their database. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Nigerian Shippers Council says it is ready to meet the federal government's order on diversification to non-oil export. Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, stated this when he led the council's management team to inspect facilities at One Port in Rivers State. Nkiru Onyejesi reports.
The visit of the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Nigerian Shippers Council, since assuming office 6 months ago, availed him the opportunity to inspect some facilities at One Port. Speaking after the tour, the CEO, Pius Akuta, expressed satisfaction over modern facilities in some parts of the port. He assured that federal government is committed to addressing challenges at the port, thereby creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive.
With the level of investment that has been put on ground, and I'm satisfied, particularly with the services they are offering, and government on our part also we will continue to do what we can to move this sector forward.
Stakeholders are optimistic that the visit of the Nigerian Shippers Council boss would help in bridging the gap between them and the federal government. They are assured of their readiness to work in synergy with the council.
We have a very strong belief in the Nigerian economy. We fully support and want to help facilitate the export drive that the government is pushing very successfully, and that is the background for many of the investments that you've seen, both in the handling equipment, but certainly also in the container freight station that we will see later.
The NSC bus also had an interactive section with stakeholders as he hampered on the benefits of stakeholders' engagement, promising to continue collaboration with stakeholders operating at the ports.
We not have the leverage to know all. The little we have done, we want you to support us so that we can do more. And let us know the areas where we need to improve in the services that we also render to you.
The Nigerian Shippers Council bus is expected to also visit the inland dry ports in Aba, Abia State. From One Port in Rivers State, Nkiru Onyejesi, NTA News.
We'll pause for some messages. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. In a matter of days, precisely 6 days, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would officially hit the one-year mark following its inauguration last May. Interestingly, just about every Nigerian appears to have an opinion on how the president has fared in his first year as leader of the world's most populous black nation. Tonight, we'll be hearing from a couple of the president's ministers, those he has entrusted with the task of delivering on the renewed hope agenda of his administration, as part of activities to mark the administration's first year in office. The ministers are presenting their sectorial scorecard at an anniversary build-up event holding at the Press Center, Radio House, Abuja. Let's begin with the Minister of Information and his counterpart in charge of youth development. Saliu Gwanara has the report.
Presentation of scorecards by the ministers under the Renewed Hope government is a major activity to mark the first-year anniversary of the current administration. It is also to amplify the activities of the government in line with the first pillar of the Ministry of Information and National Orientation.
We have already started laying the solid and enduring foundation over the last 12 months. Landmark initiatives like the Consumer Credit Corporation, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, the 200 billion naira presidential grant and loan scheme, our agriculture and food security efforts, including the launch of a dry season farming and massive fertilizer distribution, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Program, our reform efforts in the electricity sector and in the area of taxes and fiscal policy, and the negotiation for a befitting new national minimum wage. All of this and many more are policies and programs that will directly touch and improve the lives and livelihoods of tens of millions of Nigerians.
The minister used the occasion to relaunch the Nigerian national web portal, www.nigeria.gov.ng.
This will be the gateway of all the things that you want to know, whether you are in Nigeria or overseas, about the government and people of Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Youth Development, Jamila Bio Ibrahim, says federal government is developing policies that will positively transform and reposition Nigerian youth and make them relevant in the global labor market.
We are committed to bridging the gap between potential and opportunity, ensuring that every young Nigerian has tools and support needed to succeed.
The day one was witnessed by many, including the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination and Head Central Delivery Coordination Unit, Hadiza Bala Osman. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Well, for us here at the NTA, and particularly tonight, two of our correspondents will be part of the ongoing review of the performances of the federal government in two critical national sectors. We will begin with Abdullahi Muhammad, who will be speaking on the administration's key interventions in road infrastructure, as well as significant indicators that show whether or not some of the targets set by the Tinubu-led federal government are on course or may need realignment. Abdullahi, what are your thoughts on some of the key targets identified there on the screen?
Well, Jummai, I don't have much time to start telling you how many projects have started so far, but let me just start with two. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and that of the Sokoto-Badagry Highway. The Lagos-Calabar Highway has started, and it means they have fulfilled that promise of starting it here. I'll give them, a tick here and say on course. Then I move on to the professional needs assessment. We are seeing it playing out, when the minister goes out there as a civil engineer, he sees and uses his eagle eye. There are a lot of the projects that has been rescoped, some redesigned. In fact, some have received knocks. And there again, he has saved billions for the federal government. I'll also give him, on course here. However, On the completion of the East-West Road, this is a project that spans about 300 kilometers. It's been there for 17 years. A lot of delays. So far, I don't think much has been done on it. Here, I will say it needs realignment. Jummai.
So much, and you know, a good road network is necessary for economic growth and development. Thank you, Abdullahi.
Thank you.
Now we head back to the ministerial briefing, but this time with the ministers in charge of solid minerals, steel development, and the Minister of State Oil, all taking turns to reiterate the administration's commitment to advancing national development. Ekene Ndulue tells us more.
Revitalization of the steel and solid mineral sectors under the President Tinubu administration has apparently remained a top priority, aiming to strengthen the national economy and enhance industrial capabilities. Top among the responsibilities before the Minister of Steel Development is revamping Ajokuta Steel Company to reverse reliance on imported steel, which accounts for an annual $4 million worth of importation. The minister says talks are ongoing with the original builders of the steel company to resume its completion.
To revive Ajokuta, we need about $2 billion based on estimates from experts and the Russian builders that came originally to build the plant have shown willingness and desire to help us to complete the plan and to bring in the funding using a structure that will be acceptable and will be in the best interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who also briefed journalists on recent developments, says sanitization of the solid minerals sector has led to increased investments in the area.
It can no longer be business as usual. We are sanitizing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector to enable it assume its pride of place in contributing significantly to the GDP of this country. So we weeded off over 1,600 licenses of operators who failed to meet their obligations to government.
In the petroleum sector, the Minister of State's Petroleum Resources expresses confidence that the primary policy thrust of increasing production is on course as federal government reforms attract international investments across the value chain.
Our target in this 2024, having worked very hard to create the enabling environment, is to ensure that we have minimum of $20 billion in investment this year. The only way you can sustain increase in production and generate money that government needs to finance our economic problems, our economic programs, is the oil and gas sector. The quickest way to our economic prosperity is the oil and gas sector.
In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
There's still more on the ministerial briefing, with two other ministers enunciating the imperatives for a safer and stronger Nigeria. Naja'atu Tijani gives us the major highlights in the presentations by the Minister of Defense as well as that of the Federal Capital Territory.
When the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and that is exactly what the Ministry of Defense says it has been doing, getting tough on criminal elements and non-state actors.
We are getting good response from the people. All these bandits and the successes that we have, most of the information come from the community.
Because of the synergy, we were able
to neutralize more than 9,300 bandits and insurgents. About 7,000 arrested, while we rescued 4,641 victims of kidnap. That is in just 1 year.
In his scorecard, the Minister of Defense demonstrates his ministry's commitment to protecting the nation and advancing regional security through personnel welfare, providing logistics and innovations through indigenous technology.
the 2023 supplementary budget that have seen huge allocation to the Ministry of Defense, thanks to Mr. President. That has helped us procure and upgraded a lot of our equipments.
Sharing a similar view but taking a different approach, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike thanks President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for providing the foundation for infrastructural development.
Fast-track the completion of various roads and infrastructure projects, lit up Abuja and its satellite towns, reactivate and automate the road mastery scheme for Federal Capital Territory, construct and maintain satellite towns, roads, water, and other infrastructure.
Planned commencement of the commercial operation of the Abuja Metro Line, which will be inaugurated by President Bola Tinubu on May 27, is another landmark achievement of the administration, which will further boost security. The defense and FCT ministers emphasize that they are not downplaying existing dangers. A strong defense is the best offense, and as key players here say, Nigeria's agenda for economic growth, social development, and the well-being of citizens is hinged on security. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Time now to flip the conversation to the housing sector. The dearth in the number of houses required to accommodate Nigeria's rising population continues to remain a challenge. Available statistics indicate that as of 2023, the housing deficit stands at 28 million units, requiring an estimated 21 trillion naira to rectify the situation. Let's bring in our own Francis Udojo to speak on how things may already be changing for the better in this sector or not. Francis?
Yes, Jummai. Jummai, if you are talking about a housing deficit and is amounting to 28 million, then there is a cause for worry. But I would like to let Nigerians to know about this, that the present administration has decided to build 100,000 houses across the federation, and 20,000 out of the 100,000 houses will be built here in Abuja, while the remaining 80,000 will be built or will spread across the 36 states of the federation. I also want Nigerians to know that government had already inaugurated the pilot stage at Karasana here in Abuja with 3,112 housing units. That is also called the Renewed Cities and the Renewed Hope Cities and Estates. If government had been able to do that, I will just say they are already on course. So I tick on course for them there. And then that takes me down to the mortgage financing. Jummai, if you understand, you know that building a house requires a lot of fund, and this is not really easy. So, but government has decided to approve a total of 126.5 billion naira from the 2023 supplementary and 2024 budget to support the project. Government is not doing this alone. Government has also engaged other mixed supporters, other developers to source for finance that will help to produce the delivery of affordable houses to Nigerians. And apart from that alone, government had also launched the digital portal where people can also apply for these houses. So if government had been able to do all of this, I will say government is also on course here. Well, we talk about cost of building materials. You know that it is very difficult right now to get materials due to high cost of these materials. And so government initiated a plan by inaugurating what we call the Building Material Tax Team. This Building Material Tax Team saddled with the responsibility of negotiating with manufacturers in such a way that they can cut down the prices of these building materials. Unfortunately, that has not really yielded much results as it stands now, because when you get to the market, you discover that the prices of building materials are still very, very high. So I would say government need realignment in that regard. So up to you, Jummai.
Francis, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Now to legislative matters. Senators today passed for second reading the bill that makes provision for Nigeria to revert to the old national anthem, Nigeria, We Hail Thee. Leading the debate on the bill, Senate leader Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele notes that the old anthem inspires a sense of patriotism in Nigerians. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on these and other consideration during Thursday's plenary.
The National Anthem Bill was the first for consideration during plenary.
Truth and justice should reign in our country. In peace, even in battle, we must honor that flag. We count it as gain to hand to our children a banner without stain.
Contributions on the debate evoked nostalgia among lawmakers in the Red Chamber as they recalled the lines of the old anthem, which they say symbolizes Nigeria's historical heritage and identity.
Nigeria, we hail thee. As a symbol of national pride, has provided insights for patriotic reflections on our aspirations.
The words contained in the old national anthem are motivational.
The national anthem that is currently in use is a product of a military junta.
The Senate expects inputs from Nigerians as the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters will host a public hearing on the bill. Senate has resolved to distill and classify abandoned projects sector by sector spread across Nigeria following a motion from Senator Jummai Ibrahim.
The Ninth Senate allocated 5 billion naira for the payment of workers in Ajakuta. And what are they doing there? If we have steel today, there's nothing made in China that cannot be made in Aba.
These projects are still relevant. But as it is today, I doubt if the federal government can revive all these projects at the same time.
Lawmakers also adopted a motion from Senator Benson Agadaga urging the Ministry of Aviation and the Nigerian Air Force to transform the abandoned airstrip at Oloibiri in Bayelsa State to an Air Force base.
It is my submission that it is indeed a security risk to leave it unattended.
4 bills passed first reading, among them a bill that seeks to provide regulations for private investigators in Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And at the House of Representatives, lawmakers also expeditiously considered and passed the National Anthem Bill 2024, which prescribes that the country reverts to the old national anthem. The bill, sponsored by House Majority Leader Julius Ehonvere, passed first, second and third reading on the floor of the House at Thursday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Metere Ikpen reports.
This is the flag of the new nation.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land.
Nigeria's old national anthem, used from independence in 1960 until 1978, when it was replaced with the current anthem.
And I invite Honorable Julius.
House Leader Julius Ehonvere led the debate seeking to reintroduce the old national anthem.
We should go back to our old national anthem, which gives us that energy, that sense of commitment, sense of dedication, and a desire to move Nigeria forward.
The passage of the National Anthem Bill 2024 was, however, not without opposition.
Is this very important at this particular juncture in our national life? What value would it add to us as a nation?
People are discussing nanotechnology, Internet of Things. We are still discussing national anthem.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Bill read the third time and pass.
Meanwhile, lawmakers expressed concern over a proposed strike by organized labor over living wage.
That LSC and TUC have issued a notice of national strike from 31st May, which is next week Friday, Mr. Speaker.
Leadership of the Committee on Labor should step in and intervene immediately and report back to the House in the next 1 week.
The House condemned a recent mob attack on 2 soldiers at Banex Plaza in Abuja, calling for probe into the incident. Lingering power outage in Gombe State also caught the attention of the Green Chamber.
Some hospitals, they are using torchlights to do operations and something of that nature.
Thank you.
The House has adjourned plenary to 30th of May 2024. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly, we join Hinkino in Lagos for more on Network News. Hello, Hinkino.
Hello, Jummai. Strategically driven to actualize her sustainability targets, NASCON Allied Industries PLC, world-class manufacturers of consumer goods and a member of the Dangote Group, has recorded an impressive growth in its profit after tax, which grew by 151% in tune of 13.7 billion naira, up from 5.5 billion naira in the previous year. This was made public by leadership of the company during the annual general meeting of the company held in Lagos. Amaka Owo reports.
Congratulations. Celebrating 50 years of taste and flavor is no mean feat for NASCON Allied Industries PLC, adopting resilience and strategic initiatives through proactive measures to grow value and profitability aided the industries in navigating the evolving business environment.
The annual report and
this annual general meeting therefore brings the financial statement of the year 2023 to public domain, as it shows the profit before tax, which grew by 37% to 80.8 billion naira. And total assets rose to 83.6 billion naira, reflecting the industry's operational efficiency and excellence.
Competitively, we've done well. Performance, we've done well. And I think the management team and the board, we have a lot to be proud of. But I think I would say, if you say what's the key element to the success, it's really a strong strategy and a lot of hard work.
Sustainability is key. Whatever we do is green. Whatever we do in terms of the deriving profitability, deriving growth, deriving productivity in our factories is green.
NASCON Allied Industries PLC continues to prioritize shareholders' interests.
We are very happy with the accounts.
Management of NASCON Allied Industries PLC says over the years, the company has solidified brand equity enabled by a dynamic workforce and consumer-centric drive as they anticipate greater strides in production efficiency in the year 2024. In Lagos, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
That's it from here. Network News will continue after this break.
Welcome back. To advance the cause of community health and promote primary health services in Nigeria, 926 community health workers have been inducted by the Community Health Practitioner Registration Board of Nigeria. Elizabeth Omori reports that the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pati, who was represented at the ceremony, urged the new inductees to uphold professionalism and make caring their watchword.
I will practice with integrity.
They were trained in 16 health institutions and are ready to provide quality health care to Nigerians anytime. The coordinating Minister of Health and other key actors in the health sector reminded them that improving medical services in primary health care centers remain a task in underserved communities as the nation looks forward to achieving universal health coverage by 2030.
Stay abreast of the latest medical knowledge and practices.
As community health officers, you are the echelon of our profession.
There are effective monitoring and evaluation, at least we can address that issue of their behavior at health facility. If you know you did something, you can be sanctioned.
Brain drain, lack of medical equipment, and inadequate data management, Dr. Joanna says hamper development of the sector. The Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Overall best student and other notable individuals were recognized at the event.
I will continue practicing according to what I have learned.
Fleets of cars were also inaugurated by the Community Health Practitioners Registration Board of Nigeria to enhance its operations across the zones. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Network News will continue shortly. Welcome back. The commencement of commercial operations of the Abuja Rail Mass Transit System, known as Abuja Light Rail, will now be flagged off on Democracy Day, Wednesday, May 29, 2024, by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by 1 p.m. A statement by Director of Press FCT Anthony Ogunleye. The flag-off was earlier scheduled for Monday, 27 May 2024. Now, the commencement of the commercial operations is part of celebrations marking the first anniversary of the federal government. Quick check on the weather prospect is next.
Welcome. The frequency of rains over most parts of the country has been relatively low over the past couple of days. But for Friday, we do have build-up in moisture levels, which should increase prospects of rainfall activities, as we expect morning thunderstorms to the coastal parts of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and River States. The bulk of the weather activities are expected later during the day to the coastal belt of the country, including the inland cities of the south, as well as parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Plateau, Nasarawa, Benue, Kogi, Niger, including parts of the north, Kaduna, Bauchi, Gombe, Adamawa, and Taraba states. The air quality shows unhealthy to parts of Zamfara, Kano, and Jigawa states. Stand by for the temperature forecast. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
And that's it on NTA Network News tonight. On behalf of the production crew, thank you for your time. I am Jummai, Yusuf.